Fort Days 5K. I finished third overall in 18 minutes 29 seconds. Not a bad time, but not a good time for me either. I just didn't have the legs today. After doing a half marathon yesterday, I really didn't have any closing speed to catch top two, which is fine. I wasn't really concerned about that. I just was trying to finish a top three today. Nice turnout. There was, I think, 242 people who ran and walked. So one of, if not the biggest crowds that they had for the race. My buddy Jack took over the race directing duties, the head race director duties this year. So I helped him out a little bit announcing the names for the awards. And I set up a table, giving out some discount codes for my races. But anyway, it was a nice morning, probably the nicest morning that they've had for the race since I ran it. I've ran this, I don't know how many times now, 5 or 6 or more. A lot of times it's frosty and cold in the morning. Today was actually 60 degrees when we started. It's very nice, not windy at all. We got lucky and missed the storms from the hurricane, what was it, Milton this week, and just the drop in temperatures that we were having earlier in the week. We were in the like 30s, 40s. So we did get lucky with that. So beautiful day to race. It starts out by the high school, if you don't know. Goes out to Main Street and it runs basically to the diamond. Keep a straight stretch down the other side, back around, and then it comes into the back of the high school. So it's pretty easy to follow. There's really only, what, 3 turns in it. So it's pretty straight. It is a little bit, I guess, hilly per se. It's not rolling hills. It's still only got a couple hundred feet of gate, but for the first, we'll say like mile, you're climbing as you go towards the diamond, and then you drop down for a couple tenths, then you climb right back up that couple tenths, and then you do that like long mile, a downhill, gradual downhill, and then one little bump, speed bump, as you're coming into the high school, like the backside. I don't know. With the big crowd, I know there was a bunch of kids, young, little kids, at the beginning of the race, probably like 30 of them off to the right. I stayed to the left. This one kid who, I think it was the winner, took off right away. I stayed with him for a couple tenths. Drafted off of him, maybe, I don't even know if it was a half mile. It might have been like 3 or 4 tenths. And then this other dude who finished second just came flying up and passed us both. I was like, whatever, you know. I knew I didn't have the legs to try to chase anybody today, so I wasn't worried about going after them. The only thing I was really hoping for is if they would fade and I'd be able to overtake him, but that never happened. I sort of lost, I don't want to say I lost momentum, but I lost any kind of will to actually go put forth a harder effort, just because, again, I didn't have the juice in my legs, and I was breathing a little bit heavy because of it by the time I got to the diamond. So I knew where I stood today, and I was at that point when we reached the diamond. Those two were still only a couple seconds ahead of me. I just knew I should play for third place, like a top 3, instead of going and trying to chase or do something stupid and then end up having ill effects and then dropping down out of the top 3. So by the time I got to the diamond, that was my main goal, was to stay in that top 3 and hold everybody off. I know once we got to the bottom of the downhill, probably had 15 seconds maybe there on 4th place behind me, because I did look back. It's not a complete out and back, it's sort of like a little U at the bottom of the hill, so I get to glance back a little bit. And I did take the hill a little bit easier than I normally do. Well, I want to say a lot easier than I normally do. I shortened up my stride and just powered through. Just playing it smart. I figured I wasn't trying to like bust my ass going up there, because that just would have been stupid. That just would have blown me up completely. So that's why I did that. But I guess fourth must have done the same thing or slowed up a little bit. And then once we hit the top part, where it gets a little bit flatter again, I felt confident I could hang on and do my thing. Though around 2.5, 2.6, I was starting to feel it in my throat. It was starting to get that gaggy feeling, but I managed to hold that off just by pulling back just a tad, because I knew my heart rate was in the 160s today. Just because I went out way too fast. That's why I jumped up so fast, because it normally shouldn't have been that high for the effort I was putting in. So when you go out a little bit too hard early on, it's going to catch up with you, and your body's going to feel it the rest of the race. Yeah, I think it was overall, it was a pretty good crowd today. Fun crowd. And there was there's usually a bunch of people along the streets, you know, cheering you on and such. And today it felt like there was a lot more than normal. I'm not sure if that's the actual case, but I want to say so, and I think it had a lot to do with the weather today. There's a lot of people just cheering and clapping, and I could hear, I could barely hear some stuff, but I could tell that like people were clapping and cheering and not just talking. I know a couple of people called my name out. I didn't really look over because I was trying to stay zoned in a little bit. It seemed to work. That's about it. The food around the diamond didn't smell as bad as it has in previous years. I think because the air was moving up in the sky more than when it was colder. It stays down a little bit more. But you do, when you run around the diamond each time, you do sort of get the whole mixture of all those smells from the different food stands. It can turn your stomach, you know, give you a little gaggy feeling, just because you're mixing so many different smells in such a short period of time. It's like every breath you got something else going into your lungs. Whatever. That's about it. I know it rained for a couple minutes, like right at the end of the wards. I think when we were getting in, like the midway through the walkers, that's when it started raining. But it only lasted maybe 5 minutes. That was it. So that was cool. Yeah, but it was a good day. It was a good race. I guess I'm happy with my time. I really couldn't expect much better for today. Again, after doing a half marathon yesterday that just sucked the life out of me. So I'll take it. I'll take a top 3. Even though I still would have liked to have won, but you know how that is. Yeah, walked around the 4 days afterwards. Got a hot sausage. What else I ate? I got cucumber rolls. I'd say that's about it for this race recap. Check it out next year, the Fort Days 5K. It's always obviously during Fort Days. So, what, the second week of October, I think is usually when it is. Could be wrong. But either way, it's in October for 4 days. And I guess my legs still feel good. I will say that. My legs still feel good. They just don't have any juice. And I did notice this morning, I wouldn't say, between my ankles and my calves, I did feel a little like soreness, tightness. I think because the rail trail yesterday was just so compacted, it beat them, whatever those muscles are in that area, up. So that probably did hurt me as well. Even though they felt loose by the time the race started, it was just one of those little things. leave it at that.